Back in October 2024, Nintendo released an app specifically for listening to their soundtracks called Nintendo Music. As an app, it's serviceable. The music listening part works as well as you'd expect, but it has its shortcomings, most notably requiring a Nintendo Online subscription to access the app, not crediting the composers, and the relatively small selection of soundtracks available. They have been pretty consistent in adding new soundtracks, releasing them once a week except for holiday weeks, which is a lot nicer than NSO's trip feed of games. So a while ago, I thought, you know, why don't I rank every soundtrack on the app? Why? I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun. I'm a huge fan of video game music, so I can't think of a better excuse to talk about it. I'll try to keep each section brief, but some of these later entries may get a little long because of how much I have to say on them. I'm very familiar with most of these songs, but there are a few soundtracks here I've never listened to before working on this video. So this will be quite exciting, though be warned, I am not very well versed in musical jargon, so I apologize if I repeat words or phrases a lot or if I get something wrong. So, let's get started. Alright, let me get this out of the way. Just because I ranked Brain Age Train Your Brain in minutes per day at the bottom of the list does not mean I think the music is bad. It all sounds serviceable enough. It's just that half of the soundtrack is jingles, and the other half sounds like something you hear in an ASMR. I guess it works as background noise for mind exercises, which is probably what you want from a game like Brain Age, but on its own, I think it just sounds kind of dull and uninteresting. If you grew up with this game and enjoy listening to the music, I'm sorry. Like I said, music's not bad, it's just that everything else on this list is better. I'm as shocked as you to see the classic Super Mario Bros. Ranked second to last. Every track in this game has been burned into the collective consciousness of gamers around the world. The overworld theme alone is easily the most well-known track in gaming, and for good reason. Even after all this time, it still hasn't gotten old. The underwater theme is also really good, setting the stage for decades of amazing underwater themes to come. Everything else, though, it's just too short and repetitive for my liking. The underground theme, as classic as it is a 10-second loop with not a whole lot going on. The castle theme is even shorter and more repetitive. And the ending theme just feels wrong without its second half introduced in the lost levels. Still a very iconic soundtrack, but video game music has only gotten better from here. I completely forgot that Tomodachi Life had a predecessor on the DS that never left Japan, so Tomodachi Collection showing up here was quite the surprise. You remember the song Afternoon on the Island, the song that got remixed for Smash 4? The second half of that remix actually came from this game, and it sounds pretty good here. The rest of it? Meh. It's alright, but pretty forgettable in my opinion. Again, it's pretty cool that Tomodachi Collection is here at all since it's a Japan-only game, which gives me hope for Mother 3 and the old Fire Emblems. But on its own, this soundtrack is just kinda there, except Afternoon on the Island, which is the sole reason this ranks ahead of Super Mario Bros. Just like Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda has one of the most classic video game soundtracks of all time that is unfortunately held back because of the small number of tracks and how repetitive they get. The overworld theme is almost as iconic as Mario 1's. It's been remixed countless times and never gets old. I actually prefer the slower version on the title screen, which was apparently composed at the last minute, but I like its more grand feel. The credits theme is also pretty catchy, though I do find it weird that it starts with a game over theme for some reason. The dungeon theme is fine, if a little short, as is Death Mountain. And the rest of the soundtrack is just jingles. Iconic jingles, but still jingles. Something cool Nintendo did was that they uploaded both the NES and Famicom Disk System versions of the soundtrack to the app, which is neat because those two systems have different sound hardware and thus can have different sounding music, as you can hear from the title theme. To me, the FDS versions don't sound better or worse than the NES versions, just different, so they share a spot on the list right here. Super Mario Bros. 2 managed to eke out a victory over its predecessor. Obviously, the songs aren't as iconic as the first game, but the advancements made in NES music quality are immediately noticeable. The overworld theme is a much bouncier tune than Mario 1's. The character selects theme is way too catchy for a screen you'll probably spend less than 5 seconds on. And the underground theme, while still being very short, is more complex and interesting to listen to than Mario 1's. The credits theme is probably my favorite theme in the game, transitioning from a triumphant tune to a very relaxing one, when the game does that stupid "it was all a dream" twist. The tracks still loop too quickly for my taste, especially the boss theme and Wart's theme, but I can definitely credit the soundtrack for being an improvement over Mario 1 in every way. I have never listened to Wave Race 64's soundtrack before it came to Nintendo Music, and now that I have, I can now say that I was pretty disappointed. It's not bad, but for a game based on jet skiing, the music doesn't pump me up nearly as much as it should. That's not to say I don't like any of it, because there are tracks I do enjoy listening to. Dolphin Park is a very nice, relaxing tune, as is Drake Lake. Twilight City's pretty good too, and so is the 1987 version of Southern Island. Everything else, though, I'm not a fan. I think the sound font is the problem. It sounds off. It sounds like CD quality music that had to be compressed to fit on an N64 cartridge, and I don't really like the results. The synthetic guitar is particularly grating in my opinion, especially in tracks like Marine Forges and Port Blue. Which sucks because other N64 games like F-Zero X have great sounding guitars. Maybe you don't have a problem with the sound font and think I'm being too harsh, and that's fine. It's cool that Wave Race 64 is here at all, but there's much better music to come. For some reason, Nintendo decided to release the Game Boy Dr. Mario soundtrack alongside the app, but we had to wait months for the NES version. I'm not mad or anything, I just think this was a strange choice. But hey, Dr. Mario's soundtrack is some good stuff. You probably think I'm crazy for putting this ahead of Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, but this game has Fever and Chill, which alone puts this game's music ahead of Mario 1 and 2. Fever is stupidly catchy and has an additional segment just before the loop. While Chill is a bit more, well, chill, with a nice beat. The rest of the music is fine. I like the ending theme, which I didn't even know existed before the app was released. The Game Over theme is surprisingly upbeat, but whatever, I like it. The small number of tracks is what keeps this from ranking higher, but you can't go wrong with good old Dr. Mario. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one as it's mostly the same as the last entry, but I do slightly prefer NES Dr. Mario soundtracks over the Game Boys. It has a title screen theme for starters, which is a decent enough song. and Chill both sound more high quality on the Game Boy, which is to be expected given the NES has more advanced sound capabilities, and while Fever is missing the ending from the Game Boy version, it still sounds great. I really don't have anything else to say. It's mostly the same soundtrack as before, just slightly better. It's been a while since I've listened to the soundtrack for Kid Icarus, and to my surprise, it was actually better than I remembered. I enjoyed every track here, though nothing was mind-blowing or anything. The Underworld theme is a classic. Not as iconic as Mario or Zelda's classic themes, but still quite catchy. Honestly, I like Stage 2's theme even more. It's a super cheery and fun, kinda like a reward for escaping the underworld. The Fortress theme is pretty spooky for an 8-bit song. Stage 3's theme is only about 20 seconds before it loops, but it's cute enough. And Stage 4 remixes the Underworld theme into something more heroic for the final stretch before you battle Medusa. Like with The Legend of Zelda, both the NES and Famicom Disk System versions are here, although aside from the ending theme, they all sound the same to me. Now put Kid Icarus Uprising's soundtrack on here next. That one's a true banger. Compared to other soundtracks on the NES, Metroid's is a lot more downbeat and ominous, but still has catchy foot-tapping melodies. Brinstar is a very adventurous theme, pumping you up for Samus's expedition on planet Zebes. But once you get to Kraid Slayer, the music gets a lot more intense, perfect for being deep in enemy territory. Norfair is similarly foreboding. The title screen is surprisingly long and complex for an NES song. The escape theme puts pressure on you to get out as fast as you can. And the ending theme is very triumphant. The rest of it's okay. Ridley's Lair, Stillness, the boss themes, and Torian are too simplistic and repetitive for my liking, and Mother Brain's theme just sounds like a mess of 8-bit noises. Like with The Legend of Zelda and Kid Icarus, Nintendo uploaded both the NES and Famicom Disk System versions of the soundtrack to the app, which is pretty cool. The FDS music doesn't sound all that different to me. It's really just the title theme, ending theme, and some of the jingles that sound noticeably distinct from the NES versions, so I'm ranking them both in the same spot. I was pretty surprised to see Tetris being added to Nintendo Music since Tetris isn't a Nintendo IP, but then I remember that they own these specific arrangements, so that's probably why it's here. Hey, I'm not complaining. The music in Tetris is all classic stuff. Music 1, yes, that's really what it's called, is a very solid 8-bit rendition of the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies from the Nutcracker. Music 2 is often overlooked in favor of Music 1 and Type A, but it's very lively and fast-paced. Meanwhile, Music 3 is weirdly soothing, not at all what you'd expect from a frantic puzzle game, but I like it. The stage select theme is pretty simple, but I still find myself tapping my foot to it. I don't really think about Tetris NES a whole lot, and that's because it's overshadowed by... We've got another dual entry here, but unlike Dr. Mario, the NES and Game Boy versions of Tetris actually have exclusive songs that aren't in the other version. As you can see, I do prefer the Game Boy soundtrack to the NES one, and it's because of Type A and Type B. Type A is the classic Tetris theme everyone knows by heart, and while I still like the Nutcracker song from the NES version, this is what I think of when Tetris is on my brain. Type B is basically the same song as in the NES version. Still really good, and I actually prefer how it sounds on the Game Boy. Type C isn't as good as the others, but it's still a pleasant song. The ending theme is pretty unique because depending on how well you do, you get a different version of the Nutcracker's Russian Dance, another thing the Game Boy has over the NES. I can't in good faith rank the Tetris games any higher because of how small their soundtracks are, but like with Dr. Mario, you can't go wrong with Tetris. I wish I liked Luigi's Mansion soundtrack more than I do. It works great in-game, doing just enough to complement the game's excellent atmosphere. It's just that listening to it outside of the game doesn't really do much for me. It's a very unique soundtrack, very synth-heavy, kinda like Ghostbusters, rather than the stereotypical low orchestra that most horror media uses. So I'll give it that. The main theme is iconic. I like how it purposely leaves out parts of the song so Luigi can fill in the gaps with his humming. Also, it has the single best item jingle of all time, and I won't hear any arguments to the contrary. I also like the boss themes. They get the spooky vibes just right while still being fun to listen to, especially Chauncey's battle theme. Everything else is just kinda there. A lot of these tracks are very short and fairly simple, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not really what I'm looking for when it comes to video game music. I do understand why people loved this music, I really do. Like I said, nothing really sounds like Luigi's Mansion, not even its own sequels. It works for the game, that's all it needs to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm no Pikmin expert, but I've heard from a lot of Pikmin fans that 4 has the weakest soundtrack of the mainline games, and I'm not sure if I agree with that. You'll probably hear my thoughts on the other Pikmin soundtracks when they come to the app, but for now, I'd say Pikmin 4's ranks 3rd place for me. A lot of it is very ambient and minimalistic, which personally doesn't do a whole lot for me, but there's some good stuff here. Hero's Hideaway is a jolly, bouncy tune. Battling a Stronger Creature's got great percussion. The groovy Longlegs theme is easily the highlight with how, well, groovy it is. The Nighttime Expedition theme is sufficiently creepy. And the Dandori battle versus Olimar really reminds me of a Mario Party minigame theme, which is far from a bad thing. Oh, and let's not forget the Ancient Ciderhound battle, the first of many standout final boss themes you'll see on this list with its heavy metal guitar. I also appreciate Pikmin 4 making the transition to live recorded music gracefully. It feels like the proper evolution of Pikmin's distinct sound. I wish the rest of the soundtrack was more catchy and less atmospheric, but what we have here is solid enough. Out of all the new Super Mario Bros. Games, why did Nintendo add U to the app first? I thought the original DS game would have been a slam dunk, and Wii is a pretty big following too, but no, they added U. So much of the soundtrack is ripped right from the Wii, so I'll talk about those songs when New Super Mario Bros. Wii gets added. But there is more new music in U than you'd think. The ground theme is fine. It sounds too relaxed for a fast-paced platformer for me, but it's pleasant enough. The remix used for the snow levels is a lot better. It's very Christmassy sounding with the jingle bells. While the athletic remix is very lively for the speedier levels. I really like how Peach's Castle is a dark take on the classic Super Mario 64 song. It's the only NSMB Final Castle to have its own theme, even if it's very short. Bowser's final battle theme is good, though definitely a big step down from his Wii theme. There's a lot more, but like I said, almost all of it is just taken from Wii's soundtrack, and I think U's new songs don't stack up to its predecessors. It's solid, but it is my least favorite New Super Mario Bros. Soundtrack. Kirby's Dream Land soundtrack may be short, but it's one of the best that the Game Boy has to offer. You've probably heard a lot of it thanks to the Dreamland GB stage in Smash, which plays every stage theme in the game as it transitions from area to area. Green Greens is the Kirby song, much like Mario 1's overworld theme, and it still holds up to this day. Castle Lololo is more intense, but doesn't stray from Kirby's lighthearted tone. Float Islands is the most calming track in the game, but still has enough energy to be catchy. Bubbly Clouds is a very appropriate name for such a bubbly track. Mount DDD is the introduction of the classic King DDD theme, even if it's missing the second half of the song that will be introduced in Kirby Superstar. They're pretty short, and later Kirby soundtracks would eat Dreamland's lunch, but hey, it's still a great start for a series full of great music. Aside from a few standout tracks, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics probably has the most okay video game soundtrack of all time. About half the song list is just jingles, and a good chunk of the other half is very simplistic and or short, but I found a few tracks worth shouting out. 4 in a Row is lovely acoustic guitars that remind me of old Pixar shorts. Matching Cards gives off major Pink Panther vibes. Sports Game's second song combines cute synths with a slap bass for a foot-tapping piece. And Toy Tennis adds a fun beat to the mix. Toy Soccer's got some fun horns. Which get tuned up a notch for battle tanks. And Six Ball Puzzle legit slaps with its great synths and clapping. The rest of it's fine. It works as background noise for games with your friends, but 4 in a Row and 6 Ball Puzzle do a lot of heavy lifting here. Super Mario Bros. 3 is a huge improvement over its predecessors in every way, and that also applies to its music. The soundtrack has a reggae vibe to it, which works way better than you would expect, particularly with the overworld theme and the world's 4, 5, and 7 map themes. Speaking of the overworld theme, it's almost as classic as Mario 1's. Definitely livelier while keeping the Mario spirit intact. The athletic theme is even better, going for a faster paced song befitting of the tougher levels it plays in. The underwater theme is quite relaxing. The fortress theme is just minimalistic enough to be ominous. The airship and boss themes have become iconic staples in the franchise, and for good reason. They're quite intense here. And while most of the world themes loop after 5 seconds, you'll never be on the world map long enough for them to get old. And you know what? That pretty much applies to the entire soundtrack. The music of Super Mario Bros. 3 never gets old, and while its relatively small track count and comparatively simpler compositions means it can't rank any higher, I never tire of it. I gotta be honest, even though I played the Wii a ton as a kid, I completely forgot most of the Wii channels even had music. Of course I remember the main menu theme, the Mii Plaza theme, and the Wii Shop channel theme, but nothing else was ringing a bell. I was pretty surprised this was even included on the app, considering it's the only non-game entity here. But you know what? There's a lot more here than I would have thought. Obviously the Wii Shop channel theme is the highlight. I don't have a shrine dedicated to it like a lot of people my age, but the song does slap. The Wii menu theme is passable. It works for what it is, but it's not a theme I'm going to remember the melody of. And I know the Mii Plaza theme is a meme, but there's too much silence in it for my liking. But what about everything else? The photo channel's got some chill themes with a funky beat and lovely piano. The forecast channel sounds way more relaxed than any weather station I've heard. The news channel has a nice electronic sound to it. I like this one quite a bit. The Everybody Votes channel has some very funky music, probably my favorite selection overall. And the Check Me Out channel is generally fine, except for whatever this weird instrument is. Would I listen to these on my own time? Probably not, but what we have here is pretty enjoyable. I was honestly expecting Animal Crossing New Horizons to place a lot lower down when I started writing the script, since I don't listen to a lot of calming or lo-fi music, but after listening to this soundtrack more, it's grown on me. There's a total of 407 tracks, and I don't think this even includes the Happy Home Paradise expansion, and it's kind of overwhelming for someone not familiar with this soundtrack, though I understand why there's this many songs. The opening theme, sometimes dubbed Welcome Horizons, is a cute trombone piece welcoming you to the island. Clear tracks, which I guess are the default versions of the songs are very pleasant to listen to, my favorite being 8 AM with that acoustic guitar and drum beat. In general, the songs have a lot more emphasis on melody than I expected. I kind of assumed Animal Crossing wanted a few more ambience to make a cozy experience, but I'm not complaining. The rainy tracks have what I can only describe as rainforest percussion added. And the snowy tracks have jingle bells on top of that. Also, I know Animal Crossing fans are probably familiar with this, but I love that their Thanksgiving and Christmas analogs are just called Turkey Day and Toy Day. I don't know, it's just cute, and the songs are pretty cute too. The countdown to New Year's is also pretty sweet, getting more and more festive as it gets closer and closer to midnight. There's also over 100 KK Slider songs, which I guess is cool if you like KK Slider. I don't, but I recognize him in the minority. Like with the Wii channels, I don't expect to be listening to Animal Crossing New Horizons music in my own time, but I was pleasantly surprised here. I get why The Blazing Blade was the first Fire Emblem game to get its music onto the app. It was the first one to release in the West, and is a pretty well-loved game. But I think Blazing Blade is the weakest soundtrack of the GBA Fire Emblems. Though what we have here is still solid enough. We start with a pretty good remix of the classic Fire Emblem theme, a triumphant piece welcoming this franchise to the West. And the battle themes are pretty sweet. Yeah, you remember that song Attack from Super Smash Bros. Brawl? That's a mix of the regular battle theme, Strike, an energetic piece for a one-on-one encounter, and Rise of the Challenge, a fittingly climactic boss theme, and they still sound great on the GBA. But the map themes are what I focus on when listening to Fire Emblem music, and there's some good ones here. Wind Across the Plains, the theme for the tutorial map, is a nice track to ease you into the general gameplay. Companion sounds like you're embarking on an adventure with friends. Raid has a nice sense of urgency to it. Inescapable Fate is very tense, I really like this one. Dragon's Gate 2 is a decent final map theme for the showdown with Nurgle. A lot of these themes do blend in together thanks to their instrumentation. There's only so much the GBA's infamously poor sound hardware can do to the lack of a proper sound chip, but the compositions carry them well enough. Far from the best Fire Emblem soundtrack, I really hope they add the music for more recent games soon, but it's a solid start. I was not expecting to say this when I got the idea to make this video, but the soundtrack for Nintendogs is actually pretty decent. It's a very cute soundtrack, right from the title theme, and sounds pretty high quality for the DS. There's a surprising amount of energy to the music, as the walking theme and dog show themes demonstrate. bathing theme is probably the most iconic song in the game, absolutely helped by Super Smash Bros. But the original song is pretty good too. I'd say my favorite song here is the Expert Dog Show theme. It's very bouncy and has very peppy instrumentation. There's also chiptune remixes of a few tracks from Mario Kart Double Dash for some reason, Mario Circuit, Peach Beach, and Bowser's Castle to be specific, and they make the transition to chiptune better than you'd think. Is that a shallow reason for me putting Nintendogs ahead of Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem? Probably. I don't really have much else to say, just a cute soundtrack for a cute game about cute dogs. Like with the Wii channels, I kind of forgot Wii Sports had music aside from the main theme, since I associate the individual sports with the ambient noises of an arena like a bowling alley or a tennis court. But when I sat down and listened to all the tracks at once in a row, there were a lot of songs that made me go, oh yeah, I remember that one now. And what we have is overall solid. The title theme is basically the anthem for 2000s Nintendo fans, instantly recognizable for all 82 million people who bought this game. While most of the sports do mostly just use realistic background noise for the main gameplay, the selection screens, replays, and various menus do have music, and they can get pretty catchy. The training themes are the highlight of the game. They're so good that I wish they would play during the main sports, from the piano and acoustic guitars of tennis, to the jazzy rock of baseball, to the lounge-esque sound of bowling, to the very zen-like golf, to the workout beats of boxing. The results themes, something I usually never pay attention to in games, are also quite catchy, especially the ones for bowling and golf. Not much to say. It's Wii Sports, and Wii Sports will always deliver a quality time. I spent so much time with the Street Pass Me Plaza when the 3DS was still hot, so seeing the songs added to Nintendo Music was a nice surprise, even if I could think about like 30 other 3DS games that I would have put in the app first. Let's cut to the chase. The reason this ranks so high up is because of Find Me 1 and 2, the cute RPG modes you remember raging at because your friend wouldn't send you a white-shirted me to clear out the dark room. For throwaway games made just to get you to Street Pass other people, the music is way more epic than it really needs to be. The battle themes could easily fit into a more serious RPG. Even the first battle theme, 2 Battle Heroes, is pretty intense. As is the second battle theme, Fight On Heroes. The Armored Fiend theme is slow and menacing. And the Ultimate Ghost theme is climactic enough for a final battle. Find Me 2's music is even better, right from the title screen telling you you're in for a more epic adventure. Save the World Hero seems to be the fan favorite. Though Keep Fighting Heroes is no slouch either. And the Dark Lord theme is actually a pretty thrilling final boss theme for a Mii game. So yeah, Find Me 1 and 2's music is some really good stuff. I really wish the sound font was a little better, as the remixes in Smash demonstrate the quality of the compositions. The Street Pass Plaza and Puzzle Swap themes are fine, they're passable, but nothing more. Also, the downloadable games like Warriors Way and Battleground Z aren't here for some reason, so this is as high as Street Pass Me Plaza goes for now, but the Find Me games carry this soundtrack pretty well. I personally find Yoshi's Story to be a fairly forgettable game, but I will give it credit that its soundtrack is pretty good. Almost every song in the game is a variation of the same theme, called Yoshi's Song, but they stand out well enough. Yoshi's on the Beach is our beach level theme, and it's as fun and tropical sounding as you would expect. A hip-hop rap is the last thing I'd ever expect from a Yoshi game, but Yo Yo Yoshi is honestly a pretty fun listen. Yoshi's And the Wind is my favorite song in the game, a lovely combo of strings and acoustic guitar that'll instantly put you in a good mood. Alpine Yoshi music, yes, that's really the title, has nice whistling for the mountainous setting. While Play It Again, Yoshi mixes surf rock guitars with silly horns, and it works better than you'd think. Baby Bowser's Castle is surprisingly creepy with the minimalistic chimes and clarinet. The fact that most of the music just remixes the main theme does mean Yoshi's Story's soundtrack gets repetitive sometimes, but what we have here is still good enough. Fun fact, F-Zero has more music than just Butte City and Big Blue. Shocker, I know. I imagine a lot more people became familiar with the rest of the soundtrack thanks to F-Zero 99, and I'm glad we got a new game that can introduce a whole new audience to these classic songs. For a launch title for the Super Nintendo, they hold up quite well, even if some songs are clearly better than others. Butte City is easily the most well-known song in all of F-Zero, an adrenaline-pumping tune for getting you into the blazing, fast sci-fi setting. Big Blue isn't far behind, being a faster-paced song perfect for ramping up the excitement. Some of the other highlights include Sand Ocean, which is a little bit more downbeat. Port Town is more chill than you'd expect from the series, but is quite pleasant. Both versions of Whiteland kick the tempo back up. And Fire Field is, well, a fire track for the end of the game. Later F-Zero games would blow the original soundtrack out of the water, as we'll see later on, but the music for this first game is still pretty good. It was pretty close, but I slightly prefer Super Mario Kart's music over F-Zero's. Each song sounds more distinct from the others compared to F-Zero, which admittedly did have a lot of songs with similar instrumentations. The title screen's theme is short, but the melody is strong enough that every future Mario Kart would remix it for their title themes. Mario Circuit is a classic, a very bouncy track that's just plain fun to listen to. Donut Plains has some nice whistles that help make for a very unique sounding tune. Bowser Castle is an intense remix of the final boss theme from Super Mario World. Koopa Beach is a very pleasant tropical sounding theme. And what do I even say about Rainbow Road? It's the highlight of the soundtrack, enhancing the magical, almost trippy setting perfectly. Even the battle mode theme is really fun, a fittingly frantic song for the chaos of battle mode. Also, each character has their own short theme for their race results. It's not much, but I think it's cute. This is my least favorite Mario Kart soundtrack by a significant margin, but don't take that as me saying I don't like it, because I do. It's just Mario Kart music has gotten a lot better since the SNES. I've heard very mixed opinions about DKC3's soundtrack. Some people really love it, and other people find it really forgettable. I'm somewhere in the middle, but leaning toward the positive side. Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble has good music, pretty much across the board, but it never reaches the heights of its predecessors in my opinion. It's a lot less bombastic and catchy than previous games, instead going for a more atmospheric take, and it works well enough. Treetop Rumble is a good example of what I mean. It's definitely more low-key and ambient than tracks in the other games. Same with Frosty Frolics. It's surprisingly understated for a snowy outdoors theme. I like these, but I'd be lying if I said I prefer them to the melodic themes. Fortunately, DKC3 still has some of those to grace my ears with. Enchanted Riverbank has a nice fast-paced beat. Nuts and Bolts sounds like a less melancholic version of Cannon's Clanking. Rockface Rumble's percussion slaps pretty hard. And Big Boss Blues is a solid theme for the showdown with Baron K. Rulenstein, though not on the level of its previous boss themes. Cascade Capers is my favorite song in the game, perfectly blending atmosphere with melody while immersing you in the setting of a mountainside waterfall. Good stuff, but the highs don't get nearly as high as the other games, so DKC3 will have to settle for being somewhere around the middle of the list. Golden Sun showing up so early on Nintendo Music was certainly a surprise, but a welcome one. It's another game I have next to no experience with, so I was listening to a lot of this music for the first time, and you know what? It's pretty good. I'm not that big a fan of the GBA's sound hardware, but Golden Sun manages to make the most of it. The main theme is one of the grandest on the system, showing you that this is a little more special than your average RPG. Something I really appreciate about this soundtrack is the instrument variety, which is something I criticized Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade for not having, but Golden Sun's music is very rich in variety. The village theme is super calming, especially with the pan flutes. The battle theme is very energetic, but not too intense, perfect for fighting regular enemies. The forest theme brings the pan flutes back to make a soothing yet mysterious sound. battling a powerful foe cranks the intensity up for suitably tougher fights. Sworn Enemies Stand in Your Way has an awesome beat that reminds me of the Mario Tennis games. The temple theme has a very traditional East Asian vibe to it. And the desert theme goes way harder than it needs to. Venus Lighthouse is the highlight for me, a great final dungeon theme that's both epic and catchy. I wouldn't quite call Golden Sun's soundtrack a hidden gem. The GBA sound hardware still holds it back from being even better in my opinion, but the compositions shine through and give the GBA one of its better sounding music selections. I feel very mixed about most 3D Zelda soundtracks. Every one of them has some truly outstanding songs that live rent-free in my head, but then a good chunk of the music is very ambient and barely sounds like music to me. They're all still good, but most of them rank a lot lower for me than most, with Skyward Sword being my least favorite. Of course, Skyward Sword has some bangers, some of the best music on the list so far. Ballad of the Goddess, which is actually Zelda's lullaby backwards, is a grand theme that gets you hooked right away. I will absolutely give credit to Skyward Sword for being the first Zelda game to use a fully orchestrated soundtrack, and the songs that utilize it are easily the best in the game. Skyloft is a lovely, breezy hub theme. Groose Appears is just the right amount of silly, there's a reason it became a meme. Gliding with a Loftwing is a thrilling song for the many, many times you'll be exploring the sky. All the boss themes are dramatic and epic, particularly the militaristic Scaldera and Tantalus battles. And the piano-heavy Moldarak and Koloktos battles. Really, anytime they bring out the brass, you know you're in for an awesome time. The final battle with Demise is incredible, thanks to the chorus making it sound like a showdown for the fate of the world. Some of the world themes are nice too, like Faron Woods, but unfortunately too many songs, particularly in the dungeons, are too low-key for my taste and feel like background noise. That's why Skyward Sword can't place any higher, but rest assured, those highs are really high. After some thought, I decided that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has a slightly better soundtrack than Skyward Sword. You might be surprised given that Breath of the Wild's music has a reputation for barely existing, but considering there's 211 tracks here, including the Champion's Ballad, it clearly isn't just ambience and soft piano. The main theme starts off with the piano as Link looks over the vast world he'll be exploring. And then it builds and builds until it turns into a thing of pure beauty and wonder. Yes, a lot of the music for when you're running around is very understated, which is completely intentional to make you feel alone and small in this huge overworld, and it works perfectly in-game, but that does mean it's a lot less enjoyable to listen to outside of the game. But like with Skyward Sword, the standout tracks stand tall. Cass's theme is a short but sweet accordion piece. The battles with the Divine Beasts bring in that epic orchestra from Skyward Sword as you fight to gain access to the Divine Beasts. Except for Va Naboris, which goes for a killer Middle Eastern sound. The parasailing minigame is somehow both goofy and adventurous and brings the accordion again. The Molduga battle theme has a stupidly catchy beat with its fast-paced percussion and strings. Hyrule Castle has a brilliant sense of finality, perfect for the end of your journey. Every battle variant of Calamity Ganon's theme is great. From the Blight Ganons you fight in the Divine Beasts, to the Big Cheese himself in Hyrule Castle. And while that final battle with Dark Beast Ganon is pretty lame, the remix of the main theme that plays during the fight is incredible. They even included the song they played during the big story trailer at the Switch presentation, helpfully titled 2017 Nintendo Switch Presentation Trailer, which is so grand and bombastic that it's probably what pushed Breath of the Wild ahead of Skyward Sword for me. If the rest of the soundtrack was like these highlights, it would be way higher, but what we have works well enough. Splatoon's music has a very unique sound to it, with the vocalists singing in the fictional Inkling language and the blend of electronic and rock genres. The fact that the songs are sung in-universe by fictional bands goes to show how much effort the real-life composers put into these soundtracks. While I think Splatoon 2 is the weakest music of the three games, what it does have is still quite good. The songs I pay the most attention to in Splatoon are the multiplayer map themes, as regular battle themes are the main attraction of the game. Rip Entry starts with a fun guitar riff and mixes it with a slap bass and Wet Floor's vocals to make for a really catchy tune. The vocals in Undertow sound a little strange, but the guitars carry it well. And Endolphin Surge is probably my favorite, with a catchy beat, infectious vocals, and an even better slap-bass synth combo. Some of the songs added in updates like Shipwreckin' decided to add in Western-style violins for some reason, and it works way better than you would expect. Vincent fiddles in particular mixes the violins with the rock to head-bangingly amazing results. The single-player mode has some cool beats, but nothing too exciting. Until we get to the showdown with Brainwashed Callie, where we get Tidal Rush, a tense mixture of Callie and Marie's themes from the first game. Probably my favorite song in the game. And that's followed up by Spicy Calamari Incantation, a remix of the fan-favorite song from the first game for the final battle with DJ Octavio. Not as hype as the original, but still pretty great. We also have music from the Octo expansion here, and it's fine, I guess. I gotta be honest, Octo expansion's music doesn't do anything for me, and it's why Splatoon 2 doesn't rank higher. It's not bad, but the style of EDM used goes in one ear and out the other for me. Sorry, Deadfish. But hey, the rest of Splatoon 2's soundtrack is really good, so it gets to stay in the top half of the list. Returning to The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past provides a very solid template of what I want to see from a Zelda soundtrack. While I found a lot of the songs in Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild forgettable, every track in A Link to the Past is memorable, if not all that exceptional. The overworld theme for the original is back and is more adventurous than ever. Hyrule Castle is one of my favorite recurring themes in the series, so dramatic and tense. Kakariko Village is very soothing and probably still my favorite version of the song. The Light World dungeon sounds ominous, yet still has a memorable melody to it. Agadin's theme is the earliest version of Ganon's theme and is just as sinister as ever. The Dark World is probably the most iconic song in the game, adventurous while giving a more threatening vibe than the Light World. Mountains and forests of the Dark World sells the feeling of traveling through a treacherous landscape. Even the tracks I didn't mention are all solid. There's not a single dud in the bunch. The only reason this isn't higher is the relatively small number of songs, and the fact that, as good as these songs are, none of them are really superb in my eyes. There are other Zelda soundtracks that do everything A Link to the Past does better, but credit has to go to this game for setting the stage for those future titles. I remember when I first played Splatoon, and the music kind of weirded me out. It just sounded so different and strange, but it quickly grew on me. The first Splatoon obviously has fewer songs than its sequels because being on the Wii U cut its life short, but it's a very quality over quantity soundtrack. Splatack is basically the Splatoon theme at this point. Its energy gets you hyped to bring your team to victory and have fun doing it. Seascape includes very squeaky synths, that's the best way I can put it, and they mix with the rock better than you'd expect. The vocals dominate, cracking up to help pump you up for the match. Metalopod has a great guitar riff that plays throughout the song. Shelfie turns up the chip tune to make for a very catchy song. This kind of reminds me of Undertale. And Split and Splat builds on it with a really fun beat. Callie's theme, Bomb Rush Blush, is a really catchy electronic track. While Marie's theme, Tides Go Out, is slower and more relaxed. They're my favorite singers of the three idol bands by far, helped by the best Splatfest theme of the series, Ink Me Up. The single-player campaign's music is mostly just fine, but then we get to the final battle with DJ Octavio, where after a solid electronic song in I Am Octavio, the Squid Sisters take over with Calamari Incantation, probably the most iconic song in the series next to Splattack, and for good reason. Good stuff all around, and I do prefer to Splatoon 2's overall track selection, but the best Splatoon music is yet to come. Yoshi's Island is an interesting case where almost every song in this game is really good, but there just aren't enough songs here for me to rank it any higher. This is a very cheery, bouncy soundtrack, almost feeling like an old-timey TV show at times. That's the best way I can describe it. Flower Field is probably the best example of this, with the SNES harmonica playing away in all its glory. The athletic theme is the Yoshi song, a jaunty tune that will get stuck in your head and never leave. But Yoshi's Island isn't afraid to get more dour, as the deliciously sinister castle theme demonstrates. The stage boss theme is light and emphasizes fun. While the big boss theme ramps up the tension as if you're in for a real fight. Do I even need to talk about the final battle theme for Baby Bowser? It completely flips the tone of the game on its head, going for a heavy metal sound, with the absolute best guitar on the SNES. It all makes the ending theme one of the most satisfying you'll ever hear from this era, sounding both melancholy and uplifting as your journey comes to an end. This is the best Yoshi soundtrack by a wide margin, and I'm sure I'll talk about the others sometime, but for now, stay cool, Yoshi's Island. This one's another close call, but right now I think I like Super Mario World soundtrack just a hair more than Yoshi's Island's. They're neck and neck in my mind, but for now I'm happy with their positions on the list. Super Mario World is such a huge step up from Super Mario Bros. 3 that it's not even funny. The title theme alone showcases the jump in sound hardware between the NES and SNES, producing a jolly song that lets you know you're in for a good time. The overworld theme is the catchiest in the series, thanks to those steel drums and bouncy beat. Actually, most, if not all, the level themes are remixes of the overworld theme. Some are fairly easy to spot, like the fast-paced athletic theme and its ragtime piano. Others are harder to catch the leitmotif, like the wonderfully spooky Ghost House theme. I think this is the only mainline Mario game to not use the classic underground theme in any way, instead going for a very echoey remix of the overworld theme, focusing on the backing percussion. The castle theme is amazing, starting off very tense and menacing, before transitioning into something more somber at about the halfway mark. The boss fights against Reznor and the Koopalings have a fairly lighthearted, jaunty song. While the final battle with Bowser is intense, with the heavy drums and guitar making for a very memorable final boss theme. The ending theme is just perfect. Such a merry tune to listen to as you watch Mario and friends head back to Yoshi's Island. Like I said, Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island are really close, and I could see them swapping places depending on how I'm feeling, but at the moment I think Mario World's soundtrack is just that slightest bit better. I'm really glad that Metroid Prime was available on Nintendo Music at launch. This is my favorite Metroid soundtrack, and it's not even close. While a lot of Metroid music leans way too far into ambience for my taste, Prime achieves a near-perfect balance of atmosphere and melody, making for a soundtrack that fits Metroid beautifully in my opinion. The Talon Overworld theme is a great example of what I mean, starting off setting the atmosphere of Talon 4, before gradually transitioning to a lovely melody. Similarly, the Chozo Ruins starts off with a simple but catchy beat before gaining instruments as the song goes on, kinda like a DKC song. Magmoor Caverns is an ominous remix of the Lower Norfair theme from Super Metroid, adding a dark chorus that adds a lot to the menacing tone. Phendrana Drifts is my favorite song in the entire Metroid series, a sublime track that captures the frigid yet beautiful setting of the snowy landscape, especially with that gorgeous piano. Overworld Revisited ditches the build-up its predecessor had in favor of keeping the melodic tone the whole way through, which I prefer. Crashed Ship is such a lovely piece, completely different from anything else Metroid has ever done, but its balance between melancholy and soothingness struck a chord with me. Meta Ridley's battle theme isn't my favorite version of Ridley's theme, but the electronic feel definitely makes it stand out among the rest. There are a couple tracks that lean too heavily into ambience for me, but they are far outweighed by the good stuff, though still not quite enough to break into the top 20. It's not Metroid Prime's fault, I just like the remaining soundtracks more. What do I even say about the music for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time? It's all classic, all of it. Even if you've never played the game, you've absolutely heard a good chunk of these songs through osmosis. The title theme, a lovely piano and ocarina piece, perfectly establishes the mood for the game, preparing you for an unforgettable adventure. The ocarina songs have all been permanently burned into my brain. For such simple tunes, they're really memorable, especially since several of them are remixed as area themes, like The Lost Woods. It's too short to be a favorite of mine, but it is catchy enough. You know what is a favorite of mine? Hyrule Field, an adventurous tune that makes traveling this vast expanse less tedious than it would be otherwise. Lon Lon Ranch is so peaceful, especially with the synthetic vocals and the backing acoustic guitar. There's a very nice remix of Kakariko Village. King Dodongo has a fittingly frantic battle theme. And while I've been kinda down on Zelda dungeon themes, the Temple of Time has such an eerie, almost otherworldly feel to it that I love it. Honestly, the rest of the dungeons themes aren't too bad either. The forest and water temples have some rich tunes that I can instantly recall. And the Spirit Temple gives me vibes of the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. Gerudo Valley is probably my favorite song in the game, combining a flamenco beat with acoustic guitar and horns for a really catchy piece. Do I even need to mention the final battle with Ganon? The main reason I'd want an HD remake of Ocarina of Time is for the final battle and this song, an ominous track that tells you if you don't defeat Ganon, the world will end. Really, the only thing holding this soundtrack back is the N64 sound font. These compositions would sound amazing with live instruments. Smash is proof of that, and I really hope we get a remake with a fully orchestrated soundtrack sometime in the future. I don't really know what to say about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, given that almost all of its music is the exact same as the original, just higher quality since we're on the 3DS instead of the N64. I was pretty disappointed when I first played the game since I was hoping for a live recorded soundtrack like we'd get with later Zelda games, but that does mean all the classic songs are just as good here as they were back then. Maybe a little better thanks to the 3DS's superior audio quality. The one exception is the additional credits theme, which is played with an orchestra, and it's glorious, especially the Hyrule Field bit. I really wish the entire soundtrack got this makeover with an option to play the original music, but whatever. It's still Ocarina of Time, which means it's still really good. I knew I liked The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom's music more than Breath of the Wild's, but I didn't remember how much more until I re-listened to the whole soundtrack. Turns out, I like it significantly more, despite having some of its predecessor's shortcomings. The main theme, for example, is triumphant and bombastic in comparison to Breath of the Wild's more melancholy theme, setting the tone for a more grand adventure. A lot of Breath of the Wild's themes return, and some of them get extra instrumentation, like Terry Town and Rito Village. This does mean that if you weren't into the lo-fi ambience before, you won't be into it now, but there are a lot more songs to stick with me this time around, and the highs are even higher. For starters, the dungeons all have distinct themes again, and each of them build and build the more you progress in them, with my favorites being the dramatic yet uplifting Wind Temple, and the Erhu and sitar-heavy Lightning Temple. The Gloomspawn theme is freaky as hell, really emphasizing their demonic nature while somehow still being fun to listen to. The Dive Ceremony minigame is accompanied by a quick piano piece that sounds both ethereal and catchy. The defense missions in Karakara Bazaar and Gerudo Town have appropriately dramatic Middle Eastern style tracks for fighting off hordes of enemies. And Hyrule Castle is honestly even more epic than it was before, mixing in Ganondorf's theme for good measure. But the boss themes are where the music really steps up its game. Colgera is the standout for sure, a powerful piece that somehow makes Dragon Roost Island sound like the most epic thing ever. Marbled Goba, Muktarok, and Queen Gibdo have threatening themes as well, certainly sounding more dangerous than the Blight Ganons. Phantom Ganon's theme reminds me a lot of older Zelda boss themes with its powerful beat-intensive instrumentation. Even Master Koga's theme got a grungy facelift, bringing in a guitar that makes him both more threatening, yet somehow even sillier. As for Ganondorf himself, his battle theme does not disappoint. The first phase is slow and ominous. While the second phase lets loose with a choir and chaotic beat. And the third phase remixes Calamity Ganon's theme to bring the duology full circle. And then we have the Demon Dragons theme, a gorgeous piece that might be my favorite Zelda song period, using both the erhu and saxophone together for a surprisingly beautiful track. Which then becomes an awe-inspiring orchestral piece when you're diving toward the dragon's face, and it's just so good! And just like with Breath of the Wild, they included the big story trailer theme, helpfully titled Third Trailer, the one with a blazing saxophone you've all heard. Yeah, this is clearly better than Breath of the Wild's in my opinion. If the rest of the soundtrack was as good as these highlights, Tears of the Kingdom would be in the top 10, but you know, top 20 isn't so bad. Currently the most recent game represented on Nintendo Music, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, has some really good songs. I was a little underwhelmed when I first played the game and listened to the music, but a year and a half later, this music has really grown on me. For example, I wasn't impressed with the Grassland theme upon hearing it in the reveal trailer, but the vocals and relaxed guitar just put me in a good mood listening to it now. Like Super Mario World, a lot of the songs in Wonder are remixes of the main theme, like how the Athletic theme is a sped-up acoustic guitar version, while the Savannah theme has a more tribal sound to it. Most of the Wonder effects are accompanied by short, bouncy tracks that fit the silliness and wackiness quite well, from the cute singing Piranha Plants on Parade to the Halloween dance vibes of Pumpkin Party. The The Coast theme reminds me of New Super Mario Bros. Wii's, but has a much catchier melody. The Snowy Mountain theme is really cute, kinda sounds like a Kirby song. The Palace theme sounds a lot more regal than the organ-heavy New Super Mario Bros. Themes. And Bowser Jr. has a synth jazz combo that builds and builds as the song goes on, making for a really catchy track when you're fighting him. The airship theme is the highlight for me, a hard rock remix of the Mario 1 airship theme from Super Mario Maker of all things, and it works so well. Castle Bowser subverted my expectations in a really good way, going for a more sinister synth sound as opposed to an orchestra or a pipe organ. And the final battle with Bowser is accompanied by a synth rock song that goes really well with the musical motif of the boss fight. This is probably my favorite 2D Mario soundtrack, and while it doesn't compare to the 3D Mario games, Wonder does a great job making 2D Mario music great again. Splatoon 3's selection on Nintendo Music currently doesn't include the Side Order DLC, so this game's placement might change in the future, but for now, this is my favorite Splatoon soundtrack. Splatoon 3 uses much heavier rock than 2 does, and I prefer its style. Like the last two games, the multiplayer maps are this game's bread and butter, and they really slap. Clickbait shows off the heavy rock/metal 3 goes for wonderfully. Paint Scraper lets the Inkling singers do heavy metal screams, which is something I never thought I'd hear. The remix of Splatak rocks, there's no other way I can put it. See Me Now is less energetic but mixes the heavy guitars with synths very well. While Sandy Side Up brings out the wah pedal to make for a chaotic track. The single-player campaign is also a step up from Splatoon 2. Still nothing super special until the bosses, but I actually kinda prefer its more low-key sound. Deep Cut's battle theme, Surprise and Shine, is pretty unique, mixing the EDM with Indian-esque instruments to make a sound I don't think I've ever heard before. While Hide and Sleek lets Deep Cut go all out for the penultimate level, pumping you up for the finale. And just like Splatoon 2, we got a great remix of Calamari Incantation for the final boss, this time with DJ Octavio and Deep Cut joining in to assist the Squid Sisters. Again, Side Order's music isn't here for some reason, so Splatoon 3 might climb higher up the list later, but even without the DLC, this is the best Splatoon soundtrack so far. Star Fox 64 is in a very similar situation to Ocarina of Time, in that the N64's sound hardware holds it back somewhat. They actually use the same sound font, but these compositions shine through brilliantly. The opening theme has a militaristic beat to it, setting up Star Fox as a team of space mercenaries ready to save the day. Corneria is surprisingly tense for the first stage, demonstrating the threat Andross's forces pose to the Lylat system. Ficina and Sector Z use a dramatic fast-paced tune for blasting down enemy fighters and missiles. Medio is an exciting track for maneuvering through an asteroid belt. Sector Y and Solar is a slower, darker song for flying over a literal star, probably my favorite song in the game. While Katina brings back the military feel for the Independence Day homage, especially with the drum beat. Zonas feels surprisingly somber, fitting for a polluted ocean planet. And Area 6 is a blood-pumping track for the final stretch before you reach Venom. Star Wolf's theme has been outdone by its many remixes, but revisiting that original theme reminds you why it gets remixed so often. It's fast-paced with awesome brass, perfect for dogfighting with your sworn rivals. There are no duds at all. Every single song here is good at worst, and while Assault would remix most of these songs and do them way better in my opinion, Star Fox 64's music still holds up really well. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker isn't one of my favorite Zelda games, but it does have one of my favorite Zelda soundtracks. It's an improvement from Ocarina of Time in every way. Obviously, jumping from the N64 to the GameCube is going to make the sound quality improve, but I think the compositions in general are stronger as well. Outset Island provides a great introduction to Link's quaint island life, especially with the backing tambourines. Windfall Island is a very lively reimagining of the Kakariko Village theme, and I greatly prefer it to the original. The Great Sea is the best overworld theme of the series, perfectly capturing the feeling of sailing across the vast ocean. It's the epitome of embarking on an adventure. While the battle at sea combines grand piano with intense brass for when you encounter something dangerous on your travels. Dragon Roost Island is the most popular track in the game, and for good reason. It's super catchy, especially with the flute carrying the melody. The dungeon themes, once again, aren't that memorable to me, but the Tower of the Gods is a very haunting melody, punctuated with chimes to give it a wonderful atmosphere. Molgera's battle theme threw me off when I first heard it, but the flute combined with the make for a boss theme that really stands out. Ganondorf's boss theme is one of his best. The dramatic piano, heavy brass, and choir making the proper mood for a duel to the death. I do wish the HD remaster had an orchestrated soundtrack, same with Twilight Princess, but hey, Wind Waker's music still holds up and is still one of Zelda's best. Good old Super Mario 64, the pioneer of the 3D platformer. Like Ocarina of Time, you have absolutely heard most of this game's music before, even if you've never played it. Seriously, who here hasn't heard the main theme? It's iconic, an energetic song that embodies pure fun, much like Mario 64 itself. Much like Super Mario World, the main theme is remixed throughout the entire game, but even more masterfully done. You can hear the main theme if you listen for it, but they all still sound so distinct you wouldn't even notice they were all reworkings of the same song if you didn't know beforehand. The slide theme is probably the most clear remix, though much faster paced, with some very lively Western sounding instruments. Cool Mountain cools it down a bit, making for a festive theme fitting the snowy area, especially with the jingle bells. Big Boo's Haunt and Lethal Lava Land aren't as catchy as the others, but the sinister and oppressive themes make for memorable tracks that stick out from the rest. Dire Docks is by far the most popular water theme in the series. It's so beautiful that I think the song speaks for itself. Even the classic Invincibility theme, a song I usually ignore because of how short it is, has been extended into 2 full melodies. A light version with a violin for the wing and vanish caps, and an energetic techno version for the metal cap. Bowser's Road is very dramatic and intense. There's a good reason both Galaxy games remixed it. Both of Bowser's boss themes are great, the first one being a heavy theme that fits Bowser's brutish personality. And the second one being a haunting organ piece that shows Bowser isn't screwing around anymore. You must defeat him. And the ending theme is one of the very best ever, capping off the adventure with so much emotion it might bring a tear to your eye. Yeah, Mario 64 has way fewer songs than something like Ocarina of Time or The Wind Waker, but I think, on average, its music is much stronger. And Dire Dire Docks clears everything those games have, in my opinion. Going from one N64 Mario classic to another, Mario Kart 64 is a monumental improvement over Super Mario Kart in every way imaginable, and that definitely includes the music. While I feel like a lot of N64 music is held back by their sound fonts, Mario Kart 64 doesn't have that problem at all. It still sounds great, basically across the board. There's only 11 unique track themes, so might as well go over them all. Luigi Raceway is very upbeat, welcoming you to the world of 3D racing with a bang. Moo Moo Farm cranks up the country music for a race around the farm. I love N64 steel drums, so Koopa Troopa Beach struck a chord with me. Kalimari Desert is actually a remix of Mario 3's Grassland theme, and it sounds surprisingly relaxed for a desert trip. Toad's Turnpike sounds genuinely magical. I have no idea how they made driving through traffic sound serene. It's one of the best songs in the game. Frappe Snowland is a very cheery snow track, great to put on in the background for the holidays. Choco Mountain is stupidly catchy. That banjo part will get stuck in your head for days. Most Bowser's castles are very intense, but 64's Bowser's Castle is downright unsettling, especially with the choir. The only song I don't like is DK's Jungle Parkway. It just sounds like a mess of jungle noises and loops faster than I can finish this sentence. But Banshee Boardwalk is spooky and ambient in a good way. It even includes a remix of Ghost Valley from Super Mario Kart Toward the Middle. Rainbow Road is so iconic and otherworldly, I'm just gonna let it play and speak for itself. And the credits theme is positively gorgeous. It's surprisingly emotional for a kart racing game, and a contender for one of my favorite credits themes of all time. Aside from DK's Jungle Parkway, this is a great lineup of songs. There just aren't enough for it to rank even higher. But rest assured, this is still one of the best soundtracks the N64 has to offer, and a great foundation for future Mario Karts to improve upon. Kirby Star Allies is a weird one for me, because I think the main game has some pretty good music, but its highlights come from the side modes. The main campaign has your typical bubbly, happy Kirby music that sounds good, but doesn't really stick out in comparison to previous games. That's not to say there aren't any standouts, because there are. The obligatory remix of King Dedede's theme has a new section added to the beginning, and it sounds great. Reef Resort has a catchy beat to it that works well with the synthesized brass and strings. Nature's Navel is really intense for a level from the second world, but I'm not complaining. Sacred Square has a lovely western twang to it. Meta Knight's battle theme remixes the ending of Meta Knight's Revenge this time, and it works way better than you'd expect. Sisters have two solid battle themes, a mysterious one for Francisca and Flamberge, and a more intense one for Zan Partizan. Tawara's Ancient Towers provides a suitably dramatic tone for the last stretch of the game. And Star Lavadom just rocks. It's a total headbang. The final battle with Void Termina is interesting because it's divided into 4 movements, each one getting more epic and menacing as you progress through the fight. There's also a slew of previous Kirby music here, which is par for the course for Kirby. That's all well and good, but Star Allies wouldn't be this high up if it weren't for Guest Star mode. where if you make it to Morphone Night with any of the DLC Dream Friends, the game plays a remixed medley from their home game. And they all sound so freaking good! The highlights for me are the orchestrated remix of Marx's theme from Superstar, the absolute rocking remix of Dark Mind's boss theme from Amazing Mirror, the very electronic remix of the Squeak Squad's theme from, well, Squeak Squad, the epic medley of songs from Return to Dreamland, primarily Crowned, and a fully orchestrated melody of Star Dream's boss themes from Planet Robobot. But the rest are still great. Star Allies still has my least favorite modern Kirby soundtrack, but the guest star mode themes bring it up from pretty good to pretty great. Mario Kart 7 is definitely one of the more overlooked Mario Karts, but you know what? Its music is still great. One of the better Mario Kart soundtracks in my opinion. Toad Circuit kicks the game off with a fun, jazzy song to welcome us to the game, one of the best circuit themes in the series. Island tracks, Woohoo Loop and Maka Woohoo, remix the Wii Sports Resort themes to make it fit a racing game, and it works quite well thanks to the synthetic guitar. Rock Rock Mountain is where the music starts to get really good, an appropriately rocking song to get that adrenaline pumping. Piranha Plant Slide is a pretty funky track for traversing warp pipes, complete with a killer bass line. Neo Bowser City is electronic bliss, fusing the themes of Toad's Turnpike, Wii Luigi Circuit, and Toad Circuit to make for a pulse-pounding track. The entire Special Cup is fantastic, from the fast-paced remix of the DK Island Swing in DK Jungle, to the surprisingly moody piano of Rosalina's Ice World. To the Medal of Bowser's Castle, complete with an homage to Double Dash's version. And of course, one of the most loved Rainbow Roads of all time. In comparison to previous Rainbow Roads, 7's version feels way more emotional and fantastical, like you're really traveling through space and marveling at how beautiful the solar system is. It's incredible. retro tracks sound mostly the same as they did previously, so their music sounds as good as before, and I'll gladly talk about them when their game soundtracks get added to Nintendo Music. I will shout out SNES Rainbow Road for the excellent added drum beat. It really brings new life to a certified classic. If you haven't listened to Mario Kart 7's soundtrack in a while, give it another shot. There's a lot to love here. Even after 31 years, the music of Donkey Kong Country still holds up so well. For a Super Nintendo game, this sounds almost CD quality, which is really impressive, but that wouldn't matter much if the songs weren't great, and they most certainly are. Everyone's heard the DK Island Swing, which is actually 3 songs combined into one, starting with a drum beat over ambient jungle noises, adding more and more instruments as it goes on until we get that familiar jazzy tune we all know and love. And then afterwards cooling down with a more eerie piece with jungle drums and chimes. Aquatic Ambience is gorgeous, a brilliantly soothing track that demonstrates that DKC is not your average cartoony platformer. Life in the Mines keeps up this trend, blending atmosphere with the tense melody wonderfully, especially when the techno beat kicks in halfway through. Treetop Rock may not have any rock in it, but that beat will get stuck in your head. It's so catchy. Northern Hemisphere starts off with an ominous atmosphere to it before morphing into a tense melody midway through. And Ice Cave Chant has some amazing chimes that sell the feel of those beautiful ice caverns. Fear Factory does the impossible and mixes together techno and jungle instruments to make a flawless combination fitting for the final stretch of the game. And Gangplank Galleon starts off with a jolly sea shanty before turning into what I can only describe as pirate metal for the showdown with King K. Rool. Is this one of the best video game soundtracks of all time? Not in my opinion, but don't let that take away from how great DKC's music is. This is a true classic that will stand the test of time. Fire Emblem Engage is a pretty divisive game for numerous reasons, but one thing I hope we can all agree on is that the music is great. It's not the best Fire Emblem soundtrack, I think there are a few that would rank higher, but there's a lot of goodness to cover here. To start off with some negativity though, I kinda hate the main theme, Emblem Engage. I know it's deliberately styled to sound like a cheesy anime opening, but the lyrics go way too far in that direction for me to find it enjoyable. But don't worry, the rest of the soundtrack is great. Every new Fire Emblem from Awakening onwards has two variants for their map themes, a calmer one for just moving around the map, and a more dramatic one for getting into battles. And Engage doubles this, with two additional versions for each variant for later maps in the region. Lethos, for example, has Faraway Holy Land, a theme that captures the feeling of embarking on a new adventure. While its second variant, Faraway Eternal Holy Land, sounds a bit darker as you encounter your first real threat. Bloom in the Breeze, the theme of Fierne, is a beautiful wind and string song that adds awesome dramatic drums for its battle theme. Then it gets much more intense with full Bloom in the Breeze. Royal Confidence, the theme of Brodia, brings out the horns to make for a very heroic sounding theme. While Unshaken Royal Confidence kicks out the brass and drums to sound even more triumphant. Tear Streaked only plays on one map and has just the one version, but the dark tone, intense strings, and ominous male choir make it the best song in the game to me. But Solm's theme, Bright Sandstorm, is a close second. Such a bright and cheery song that only gets better when its battle variant adds in the big orchestra and even more upbeat chanting. Its second version, Bright Bold Sandstorm, is good too, but it loses the chanting for some reason. Falling Petals is another solo version track, but it's the most dramatic one of the game, filling in the dark, sad song quota Modern Fire Emblem has set really well. The Emblem Trials are really cool because they use remixes of various songs from the older Fire Emblem games, with the map theme being softer and orchestral, while the battle theme brings out the rock. My favorites are Celica's Trial of Echoes because with Mila's Divine Protection slaps no matter the version, Ike's Trial of Radiance, which mixes together Eternal Bond and the Devoted from Radiant Dawn beautifully. And Byleth's Trial of the Academy, a wonderful medley that perfectly summarizes Three Houses, mixing in Fodlan Winds, the Song of the Nabateans, and The Edge of Dawn together. The boss themes aren't as good as the map themes, but the theme for the Four Hounds sounds absolutely demented, with the wild EDM and sinister strings showing off just how crazy they are. The final boss theme, Blast Engage, wasn't at all what I expected, being a mixture of orchestra rock and chiptune of all things. It's not the best Fire Emblem boss theme, but it's still pretty great. That kind of sums up Engage's soundtrack pretty well. Not the best, if it weren't for Emblem Engage and some of the forgettable hub tunes it would be higher, but still pretty great. The Fel Xenologue expansion's got some cool tunes too. Mirrored Engage is a pretty sick final boss theme with even more EDM, but this section has gone on long enough as it is, so let's move on. Guys, F-Zero X's soundtrack rocks. You wouldn't expect the N64 to replicate electric guitars well, but F-Zero X might have the most metal soundtrack Nintendo has ever made. Nearly every track in this game is a total headbanger. The remixes of Mute City and Big Blue exemplify this perfectly, with Mute City setting the tone for a blazing fast, tough as nails racer, and Big Blue gets that adrenaline pumping into overdrive. It's one of my favorite versions of the song, in fact. Silence combines fun synths with guitar. Sand Ocean and Fire Field make the guitar go absolutely wild into speed metal. Devil's Forest brings in some metallic vocals to enhance the intensity of the track. Red Canyon and Space Plants get the percussion kicking in to back up the guitar. And Port Town adds the rock organ on top of that. The themes for Sector Alpha, White Land, and Death Race are less intense, but they do a good job working as breather tracks in between the much faster paced ones. Great stuff all around. But then they added in the music from the Japanese-only expansion kit, and these were enough to bump F-Zero X up a spot in my eyes. Regeneration, Roller Coaster, Bigfoot, and Japan are all great additions, especially Roller Coaster with the head-banging beat. And Bigfoot sounding like a song from Doom. But they all pale in comparison to the surprise remix of Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64. Yeah, Rainbow Road is in this game, and it absolutely rocks. It must be her to be believed. And all that combines together to make for my favorite F-Zero soundtrack. We'll talk about F-Zero GX when that comes over, but I don't think it's quite as good. Anyway, moving on. I don't know why we only have the most recent Pokemon soundtracks on this app as of now. I figured Red and Blue would be obvious picks for launch, but these are some of my favorites, so I'm not complaining. Pokemon Sword and Shield is the first game to use the series' current sound font, solidifying the electronic style Pokemon had been leaning towards since Black and White. Though, listening to this soundtrack again, there's a lot more rock in it than I remember, which, considering Galar is based on the UK, that makes sense. I want to talk about the overworld themes first, because they usually get overshadowed by the battle themes, and Sword and Shield have some pretty good ones. Postwick has a light, breezy theme to start the adventure with. While the Wild Area's theme is very grand, with the southern part sounding more serene. And the northern part brings out the bagpipes to accentuate the adventurous feel. Turffield is where the rock influences start, though it has some nice techno in it too. Route 6 is even more Scottish sounding than the Wild Area. Holberg brings a harmonica out of nowhere for a very catchy tune. And Spikemuth's theme reminds me a lot of a Streets of Rage song with that toe-tapping beat. Of course, the battle themes are where it's really at. The max raid battles use intense timpanis alongside the synths for a powerful yet bouncy beat. Hop's battle themes have been frequently compared to something from Mario Kart, and I can see why. They're so cheery. Beads kicks the slap bass and electronic synths into high gear for a super fast-paced banger. While I don't like the Gym Leader theme as much as everyone else does, I'm not very into rave music, the techno beat is a bop. I actually prefer the finals version of the song. The faster and more intense synths make for a more enjoyable track in my eyes. Marnie's theme might be my favorite rival battle theme in all of Pokemon. It's a perfect mix of edgy and cute. Team FTL's themes are great, from the grunts rocking electric guitar heavy tune, to their leader Piers, who cranks up the punk for the first unique Gym Leader theme in the series, and probably the best. Oleana's theme isn't one of my favorites, but the crazy tone it has with the piano at the beginning is neat. Rose's theme is weird. The operatic orchestra and chorus don't really fit him at all, but on its own, it's a great listen. Eternatus' theme is appropriately creepy and otherworldly, almost like it corrupted the music, which works considering this is basically a living computer virus. Then Zacian and Zamazenta come in to help you stop it, and the guitars come in for a triumphant piece to accompany the showdown with Eternatus. Leon's champion theme is mostly just fine, but I really like how the regal the beginning is. However, my favorite battle theme is the one that plays in the battle tower, both playful and blood pumping, and a certified banger if I've ever heard one. The DLC adds more battle themes to the mix, and while I think they're generally a step down from the main game, they're still good enough to warrant a mention. Clara's theme is quite slimy, a nice blend that shows what she's really like underneath that cutesy exterior. Mustard's first battle theme reminds me a lot of Kung Fu Panda, with the Eastern instrumentation mixed with jazz influences. And while a second battle theme isn't quite as big a bop, it does appropriately bring the tension up a couple notches. I really wish Peony's theme was played with an actual saxophone, because this jazzy song slaps. And Calyrex's final battle theme is quite majestic, making this otherwise silly sight pretty awesome. Sword and Shield don't have my favorite Pokemon soundtrack. I think there are other games that have higher highs and are more consistent, but the music we have here is pretty great. Yep, I like Pokemon Legends Arceus' soundtrack just a little bit more than Sword and Shield. I don't really have a particular reason why, I just like listening to this game's music more. While Sword and Shield go hard in the electronic rock, Legends Arceus goes for a mix of electronic and traditional music, and it's a very nice blend. The Obsidian Fieldlands have a lovely bouncy theme that really makes me wish Breath of the Wild had more melodic themes for its overworld. Crimson Mirelands combines the strings with heavy-hitting percussion, almost sounding like a Xenoblade track at times. Cobalt Coastlands brings out the guitar for a very rock-heavy track for a beach in its first half. But the second half is much more relaxed for when you're going over the ocean. The Ancient Retreat is quite soothing with its acoustic guitars, piano, and strings. And the Temple of Sinnoh is fittingly mysterious with the organ and chimes. But as with every Pokemon game, the battle themes are where this soundtrack shines. The Trainer battle theme is a killer piano combined with a synth, making for the best version of Diamond and Pearl's Trainer theme. The Wild Pokemon theme uses traditional Japanese instruments and heavy drums for a wild remix of the theme from Gen 4. And the Alpha Pokemon theme follows suit, sounding even more powerful. With the Noble Pokemon theme adding blazing horns and a bit of the lake theme to the mix. Gen 4's Gym Leader theme gets remixed into a fast-paced blast that makes the slap bass go way harder than it needs to. Dialga and Palkia get a grand orchestral remix of their old theme when you fight them normally. Which turns into Eurobeat of all things when they morph into their origin forms, and it slaps so hard. Then there's Volo, who turns Cynthia's encounter theme into a twisted, sinister piano and violin battle theme worthy of how much fear that song has struck into the hearts of Pokemon fans. One of the very best battle themes in the series. Giratina's theme is much wilder than its previous incarnations, with a deliciously crunchy electric guitar. And And as for Arceus himself, his theme starts out pretty normal, with the powerful drums just as you remember it. But if you take too long to beat him, his theme starts glitching out more and more, befitting a Pokemon who is beyond our in-universe comprehension. Lastly, the ending theme is a beautiful remix of Route 209, one of the best route themes in all of Pokemon, sending us off on a very high note. There's less themes here than in Sword and Shield, I'm aware, but the highs are much higher in my opinion. Legend ZA is coming out in October, but it's gonna have to try pretty hard to match the high bar Legends Arceus set. I mean, come on. Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quests soundtrack is often regarded as one of the greatest of all time. Of course it was going to make it very high up on the list. While DKC 1 has some overly atmospheric tracks that hold it back just a little for me, every song in DKC 2 is great. The darker tone of the game is immediately made apparent with Welcome to Crocodile Isle, the game's map theme, a fitting track for the Kongs making their way through enemy territory. Jib Jig is an Irish jig of all things, and it's just so merry and adventurous. Lockjaw's Saga has some thrilling drums that mix with the plucky strings and horns to make for a tense underwater theme. Cannons clicking. Wait, that's what that song's called? I always thought it's called Mining Melancholy. Whatever. This song is really unique, using the clanging sound of wrenches on pipes to enhance the melancholic synths, making for one of the game's highlights. Snakey Shanty starts off as a remix of Gangplank Galleon before morphing into a ridiculously catchy big band track. Disco Train is basically nothing but disco synths, so it's a good thing that it's probably the biggest toe tapper in the game, and the screams are a nice touch too. Forest Interlude tones it down a notch, being a more somber track for traversing a spooky forest. In a Snowbound Land is like a less eerie version of Northern Chromospheres. And Crook's March is a truly epic track for the trek through K. Rool's Keep. Then there's there's Sticker Bush Symphony, perhaps the most loved song in the entire DK franchise. You wouldn't expect a maze of brambles in the sky to get a trance-esque techno song. Apparently this was initially written for a scrapped underwater level, but it fits so perfectly that you stop caring after the first 2 seconds. It's amazing. While DKC1 gave K. Rool a fun pirate metal theme, Crocodile Cacophony is much more menacing, showing that Captain isn't fooling around this time. The only reason I'm not talking about every single song here is that we'd be here all day. It really is that much of an improvement over DKC1. It is one of the best soundtracks on the Super Nintendo. Please at least go listen to Sticker Bush Symphony if you haven't already. As some of you are aware, Kirby and the Forgotten Land actually doesn't have its entire soundtrack available on Nintendo Music. It has about a quarter of the songs at the moment, which does consist of a lot of the most popular songs. But if Nintendo didn't want to put the full soundtrack on the app because of the upcoming Switch 2 edition with extra content, why didn't they just use another soundtrack? Well, whatever, I'll just talk about the whole thing now, because Kirby and the Forgotten Land has my favorite Kirby soundtrack, and I want to gush about it. While Star Allies has mostly pretty good music, with the standouts coming from the guest star mode, Forgotten Lands is great from start to finish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first mainline Kirby game to use fully live recorded music. Compare running through the New World or previous Kirby opening level themes to see what I mean. The live instrumentation really adds to the sense of adventure. A trip to a live old mall is so bouncy and fun, you'll forget this mall's in a post-apocalyptic setting. Versus Dangerous Beast is surprisingly grand for the standard boss theme. Those horns really pack a punch. Fast-flowing waterworks sounds like something out of DKC with the tropical percussion in the background. Welcome to Wondaria is one of my favorites, a chipper tune for exploring a wrecked carnival with a sick beat. Invasion at the House of Horrors is super unique, sounding like it came right out of Ghostbusters with how funky it is. Sword of the Surviving Guardian is the best battle theme Meta Knight's ever had, taking his Star Allies theme and going, what if we made it even jazzier? Northeast Frost Street is really pretty with an otherworldly guitar. I can see why people like this one so much. Roar of DDD goes so freaking hard, it's the best version of King DDD's theme. It kinda sounds like something you hear at the beginning of a wrestling match with DDD's roars and those striking steel percussion. Wastes Where Life Began is the rare desert theme that actually manages to sound quite epic. Moonlight Canyon sounds like a lost Kirby Air Ride track, particularly with the backing acoustic guitars. The Beast Pack's final stand is fittingly desperate for, well, exactly what the title says. The Raging Lion roars is some of the most cinematic horns I've heard in a while, building until all hell breaks loose when the demented piano comes in to give the feel of fighting a feral beast king. And as expected, the final boss theme is quite epic, mixing strings, organ, and chimes together for a 6-minute piece that complements the atmosphere of fighting a god. And then finishing it all off with a hard rock remix of the Invincibility theme to defeat Fecto Forgo once and for all. And we're still not done, because there's also the post-game. It's all good stuff, of course, but at the very end, Morpho Knight returns. And while I thought his debut theme in Star Allies was just fine, his new theme is amazing, bringing the guitars and brass in for one final showdown at the end. I could go on, but like with DKC2 and the remaining soundtracks, we'd be here forever if I did. I will revisit this game when Star-Crossed World drops, so maybe it'll place even higher when that happens. Who knows? I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has my favorite soundtrack in the entire series. There are a couple that come pretty close, and I'll talk about them when they show up, but for now, Scarlet and Violet reign supreme. Like with the previous Pokemon games, I'll talk about the battle themes last so they don't immediately overshadow some great area themes. To start small, the Pokemon Center theme is my favorite version of the theme. I love the chiptune and piano mix. The Academy theme is a wonderful rock-jazz fusion piece. West Province provides some Wild West goodness. And the Asado Desert kicks up the country rock a notch. Cascarafa is a really cute combo of synth and jazz. East Province has a very adventurous vibe with its acoustic guitars, accordions, and whistling. And Tag Tree Thicket intensifies it with the brass and strings. Alfornada goes for a medieval European Middle Eastern vibe of all things, but it's one of the most beautiful town themes I've ever heard in an RPG. Area Zero is really ethereal sounding, like a place lost to time you're only just now rediscovering. But yeah, the battle themes are the best part of the soundtrack. On the whole, I think this is my favorite selection of battle themes in the series. The Wild Pokemon battle theme is good, but the variants for the individual provinces go hard. From the slap bass heavy South Province, to the chill guitars of West Province, to the super frantic East Province, all three rivals have great battle themes. Nemona's is bright and cheery, the epitome of just wanting to have fun. Arvin's brings out the accordion and what sounds like salt shakers. Basically, let him cook in musical form. And while I'm still not too into rave music, Penny's goes so unnecessarily hard for a girl with a team of evolutions, I have to respect it. The gym leader theme is pretty good, not the best, but I do like how it changes depending on how many Pokemon they have. The Terra Raid battle theme is that rare mix of mystical and catchy, like an Undertale song in the Pokemon sound font. Team Star's battle theme is pretty good, even if I think the synths are a little too blaring. but the Team Star boss theme absolutely rocks. One of the longest battle themes in the series, with blistering electric guitars and heavy metal screams that's so good, it actually plays in-universe. Thank you very much, Giacomo. The Elite Four theme was one of the most intimidating in the series, up there with Gen 5 and Gen 7s, with its heavy drums and intense synths. Top Champion Gita's theme starts off with a remix of the Champion theme from Gen 2, before turning into something entirely different, with the Spanish guitar chiming in to give her some flair. Area Zero's battle themes feel quite alien, mixing slap bass and ethereal synths to make a very unique style of tune. Then there's the Zero Lab, a dark, threatening remix of the Terror Raid theme for the final showdown in Area Zero, and it quickly became one of the most popular battle themes in all of Pokemon. And for good reason, one of my all-time favorites for sure. Oh, and we still have the Indigo Disc DLC to go over, with even more great battle themes. Carmine's battle theme sets the tone for the DLC, mixing rock with traditional Japanese music to make a rough-sounding theme for a rough rival. The Loyal 3 battles mix the traditional music with techno for a very frantic and twisted track. Which gets remixed into a dance track when Pecharunt comes to town. Ogerpon's battle theme is quite fierce, befitting of a 4-phase battle with a seemingly fearsome ogre. The Blueberry Academy's wild Pokemon and trainer battles remix their themes from Black and White, with less funk and more EDM, which works quite well. The Blueberry Academy Elite Four theme is quite threatening for a quartet of school students, going even harder on the EDM than before. Kieran's battle theme evolves over the course of the DLC, going from a plucky theme when you first fight him, to a more angry, intense theme after he turns on you, to a twisted, borderline insane rock anthem for when he challenges you for the final time. Once again, there's so much more I could talk about. Scarlet and Violet's soundtrack is that expansive and that great. The games, at least at launch, were kind of a mess from a technical standpoint, but I hope we can all agree that the music is awesome. I'm surprised people don't talk about Super Mario Odyssey's soundtrack more. I get it, it's not as epic as the Galaxy games or as jazzy as 3D Worlds, but Odyssey gives us a stellar blend of just about everything Mario has done before, plus new styles to make for a sublime tracklist that's one of Mario's best. Bonneton is a very unique take on a starting level theme, a whimsical track that reeks of The Nightmare Before Christmas or Harry Potter in the best way possible. Fossil Falls is Odyssey's Egg Planet or Sky Station, a bombastic orchestral piece to welcome you to the incredible adventure you're about to embark on. In fact, I think it handily surpasses those two. It's one of the best Mario songs of all time. The Broodal's boss theme is playful and fun enough. But Madame Brood's theme kicks it up a couple notches by bringing in the heavy brass and rock guitar. Tostarena has two great themes, a cheery mariachi-esque song for when you're in the town, and a more mysterious yet still very catchy Wild West tune for exploring the sand dunes. Whoever thought that surf rock would work well in a forest level deserves a raise, because Steam Gardens slaps. Torque Drift's boss theme sounds more like something out of Half-Life than Mario, and that's kind of what makes it awesome. Lake LaMode isn't all that catchy for a water level, but hey, it sounds really pretty. New Donk City has three themes, a creepy, foreboding one for exploring the city at night, a more intense version for climbing New Donk City Hall, and a cheery jazz piece during the daytime. Love this one especially. Pausing by the poolside is a lovely piano remix of Super Mario World's ground theme. and the New Dog City Band's rendition of the classic Mario 1 theme is one of my favorite versions. That brings us to Jump Up Superstar, the signature song of the game. The first vocal song in the series, with a bombastic big band tune and Kate Higgins' infectiously catchy singing, cementing this game as a modern classic to everyone who hears it.
It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds touch this world, don't feel a shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl.
Shiveria has such a Merry Christmassy tune. Kinda wish this actually played at actual Christmas villages. Bubblaine is probably my least favorite level theme in the game, but it has such a chill vibe, so I'm obligated to like it. Something really cool about Mount Full Bono's theme is that the percussion is done entirely with kitchen utensils. Look up Nintendo's video recording to see what I mean. The ruined dragon looks like it was transported here from the Elder Scrolls, and the music follows suit, with an epic orchestral piece that I only wish was a little longer. Unlike most Mario games, Bowser's Castle ditches the ominous volcano theme in favor of an awe-inspiring traditional Japanese tune, still keeping the menacing tone fitting for Bowser. The Robo Brood has pounding Japanese drums, enhancing the brass for an awesome fight with this mechanical menace. Honeyloon Ridge is quite eerie for a level entirely set on the moon. But when you get into the inner volcanic caverns, the hard rock comes roaring in for plowing through the last remaining obstacles before confronting Bowser. Bowser himself has two boss themes, as is the norm for 3D Mario. His first battle has a killer heavy metal track, one of his best themes period. While his second battle tunes up the orchestra for the epic showdown after foiling his wedding plans once and for all. The Escape from Honeyloon Ridge has 2 songs as well, a shorter, more frantic orchestra piece for the first half, and the game's second vocal song, Break Free, Lead the Way, an adrenaline pumping track that sounds more like it came from a Sonic game, but that is the farthest thing from a bad thing. I actually like this one more than Jump Up Superstar. It's a big part of why Odyssey's ending is as thrilling as it is. And the credits theme rounds it out with an emotional, majestic remix of Fossil Falls, capping off an incredible game with the incredible ending it deserves. What an amazing set of songs. They're really something for everyone here. And Super Mario Odyssey doesn't even have my favorite Mario soundtrack. Yeah, no one's surprised here. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was actually really close to taking the top spot. It's one of the best video game soundtracks of all time. It was one of the best back when it was on the Wii U, and with all the extra tracks added in the Switch re-release and the Booster Course Pass, it's only gotten even better. Previous Mario Kart games had really good music, but 8 completely blows them all out of the water. The title screen theme alone screams, you're in for something awesome, bringing Mario Kart into the realm of live recorded music with a bang. Mario Kart Stadium keeps it up with a grand theme fitting of a big stadium, setting the bar quite high for the rest of the game. Water Park is a very playful theme for its amusement park setting. Sweet Sweet Canyon's theme just sounds so cute and peppy. It's probably what a Sugar Rush sounds like. Thwomp Ruins is very adventurous sounding, especially when the flute kicks in at the second half. Mario Circuit remixes Mario Kart Stadium's theme into a more energetic, synth-heavy track. Toad Harbor mixes both acoustic and electric guitars together for a cheery seaside song. Twisted Mansion sounds both eerie and kinda sad, while never losing Mario Kart's signature energy. These are all great, but Shy Guy Falls is when the soundtrack goes from great to spectacular. A thrilling track with flutes, acoustic guitars, and violins used to great effect for driving up and down a waterfall. And and the music stays at this immense high, as Sunshine Airport brings the cheery synths and strings for easily the happiest airport experience anyone will ever have. Dolphin Shoals has 3 variants, a tropical one for starting the race, a more atmospheric one for the depths, and then a super jazzy saxophone version for when you come out of the water, which also has an extended version of the highlight reel. I know I said I wasn't a fan of rave music before, but Electrodrome is the big exception. Yes, Larry is a really great DJ. Mount Wario was really unique because each section has their own theme that perfectly transitions into the next when you reach the next area, getting more and more intense the further you go down the mountain. Cloud Top Cruise is so triumphant with its brass and strings, it may as well be a Lost Super Mario Galaxy song. The version that plays in the Thunderclouds rocks. Bone Dry Dunes isn't quite as awesome as the others, but it's still a gorgeous Middle Eastern song with a snazzy beat. Bowser's Castle rocks even harder than Cloud Top Cruise's Thunderclouds, going for a heavy metal jazz fusion that is like nothing else I've ever heard. It's by far the best Bowser's Castle theme ever. Rainbow Road is surprisingly more chill than most others, but the guitar and spacey synths still make this an excellent track. Unlike previous games, the retro tracks have also been given a musical club, and while they don't hit quite as hard as the new tracks, there are some that are absolutely worth mentioning. Wee Moo Moo Meadows is so pleasant, what with the country violins. N64 Royal Raceway injects the classic Raceway theme with super upbeat trumpets, and it really works. DS Wario Stadium and Waluigi Pinball really turns up the funk with the synths, even if part of the main melody is more understated. N64 Yoshi Valley brings the country and violins in from Moo Meadows and turns the energy up to 11. DS Tick-Tock Clock sounds really mechanical, perfect for a racetrack inside a clock. And N64 Rainbow Road is just majestic. Just listen to it for yourself. And then this game got DLC, with even more awesome tracks. GameCube Yoshi's Circuit is a very vibrant remix of the classic theme, though they did remove the whistling. Excitebike Arena is an adrenaline-pumping remix of the classic Excitebike theme. Dragon Driftway is a fusion of traditional Chinese music and rock, and it's so good. F-Zero's Mute City sounds way better with saxophones than it has any right to. It's easily my favorite version. Wario's Gold Mine sounds even more Western than it did before with that plucky banjo. SNES Rainbow Road has some super energetic synths that clear its previous renditions. Hyrule Circuit mixes together both the classic Zelda overworld theme with Zelda's Lullaby, and it somehow fits both Zelda and Mario Kart perfectly. GameCube Baby Park is as chaotic as ever, and now speeds up with each lap. GBA Cheeseland is not the song I expected for the sax to go hard on, but I'm not complaining. Wild Woods is the most underrated song in this game, brilliantly using the winds and xylophone to make something that sounds appropriately tribal. If you take away anything from this segment, go listen to Wild Woods. Animal Crossing isn't one of my favorites, but I like how each season has a different song to go with it, remixing different Animal Crossing tracks for each one. Super Bell Subway is a cheerful track for going through the station. But when you go on the railways, the slap bass goes absolutely ham. Big Blue follows Mute City's lead with an awesome jazz rock piece. It sounds like the guitar and sax are actively fighting for the lead, especially in the final section. And that's it for the Wii U version, but 8 Deluxe adds an actual battle mode, and with that comes some more music to check out. Lunar Colony is the standout with uplifting synths and a spacey guitar solo. SNES Battle Course 1 amps up the funk from the original. 3DS Woohoo Town ditches 7's battle mode theme and instead remixes the Woohoo Island theme. And GameCube Luigi's Mansion follows suit, remixing DS Luigi's Mansion's theme instead. I especially love the organ in this one. And Urchin Underpass takes Splatak from Splatoon and puts it on crack. And we're still not done, because Nintendo added 48 more tracks with the Booster Course Pass. 3DS Toad Circuit is basically the Mario Kart band going, "Hey, we're back, miss us?" N64 Choco Mountain is pure bluegrass bliss. That harmonica is incredible. Coconut Mall doesn't sound too different from the original, but hey, why fix what isn't broken? DS Shroom Ridge has a very poppy electronic vibe to it, with the trumpets interjecting here and there. Ninja Hideaway is kind of like if you mix Splatoon music with traditional Japanese instruments and it goes hard. N64 Calamari Desert sounds more melancholy than the original, especially with the pan flute at the end. Tour Sydney Sprint doesn't scream Australia to me, but it does scream trumpets and saxophones are awesome. GBA Snowland is a really cute, peppy snow theme. I love the accordion. Tour London Loop is quite rocking, appropriate for both the home of some of the most famous rock stars and the first track of the Rock Cup. GBA Boo Lake takes an eerie track and adds a killer drum beat to it. .3DS Rock Rock Mountain has not one but two electric guitars battling it out for supremacy. Wii Maple Treeway fixed the autumn setting beautifully. It's so peaceful for racing around a tree. Tour Berlin Byways mixes dubstep and classical music for some reason, and they blend together perfectly. .3DS Rainbow Road somehow makes EDM sound magical and emotional, improving upon the already amazing original. Wii DK Summit adds a breakcore riff and an electric guitar to add to the track's energy. Yoshi's Island remixes the classic athletic theme in a big band style, and it's just so happy. GameCube Waluigi Stadium sounds goofier than the original, but it definitely fits Waluigi quite well. Tour Singapore Speedway is such a bop with the pianos and synths working together to make a borderline dreamlike piece. its Chinatown variant uses more traditional Chinese music with a super hard drop. Tour Athens Dash is so adventurous and whimsical for a romp through the ruins. GameCube Daisy Cruiser takes a song I never really cared for and adds a gorgeous counter melody with the strings. Movio Highway is now a Eurobeat track, which is great. But the straightaway section is now given a phenomenal jazz fusion makeover, and it's one of the best songs in the entire game now. GBA Sunset Wilds lost the sunset, but the bouncy Wild West tone is stronger than ever, especially at the end when the trumpet really comes in. Tour Vancouver Velocity adds a groovy synth bassline and excellent strings to make this already fantastic song even better. Tour Metroid Drive is the best city theme in the game. A high-octane flamenco piece that lets the acoustic guitar, strings, and castanets run wild. DS Rosalina's Ice World sounds less somber than the original, but the disco-based synths still make it feel quite otherworldly. SNES Bowser Castle 3's metal guitars are so fire that they might as well be made of it. And Wii Rainbow Road caps off the Booster Course Pass with a magnificent orchestral techno piece, befitting the space setting and the grand finale to this behemoth of a racing game. The main game's credits theme is quite good, though it only really gets going with the track medley in the second half. But the Booster Course Pass credits is sublime, remixing the Super Mario Kart credits theme and combining it with a medley of various tour tracks for the perfect goodbye from the Mario Kart band. Wow, that was a lot. And keep in mind, I left a ton of stuff out. I don't see this leaving the top 5 when more music gets added. This is one of the very best video game soundtracks of all time. And while Mario Kart World soundtrack is gigantic, and I haven't listened to all of it as of the time of this recording, it's gonna have to try really hard to match this masterclass of a soundtrack. Really? Were you expecting anything else? Ask any Nintendo fan what their favorite Nintendo soundtrack is, and at least a third of them are going to say Super Mario Galaxy. It's not as vast as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's, but I think the highs are the highest out of any Nintendo soundtrack, and I don't think it's all that close. Previous Mario platformers had cheery, bubbly music for the most part, but Super Mario Galaxy had greater ambitions. Instead of greeting us with a playful song like 64 and Sunshine, Galaxy hits us with the orchestra right away, letting you know, yeah, this is going to be something special. The Star Festival is a beautiful track to start off the game. Until Bowser shows up with an epic Star Wars-esque remix of the classic airship theme, which gets an extended version in the airship levels. The gateway is just so pretty. The spacey chimes help sell the melancholy atmosphere really well. And all this was just from the prologue. Egg Planet, Good Egg Galaxy's theme, is one of the greatest opening level themes of all time, starting off with a bang just as Mario's feet hit the ground, setting the tone with a bombastic orchestral piece emphasizing the grandiosity of space. Rosalina in the Observatory is a sweeping waltz track that adds more and more instrumentation the further you get into the game. The third variant is especially gorgeous. I respect the composers for making a bee theme that doesn't just rip off Flight of the Honeybee, instead making the Honey Hive into a more bouncy track that emphasizes the cuteness of the bees and Bee Mario. Megaleg's theme is fittingly industrial for a robot the size of a small planet, with a military march-like beat to make it even more intimidating. Not every track in Galaxy is orchestral though, there are a few synthetic tracks. Blue Sky Athletics remixes Mario 3's athletic theme with plucky synths. while Space Athletics has a more atmospheric take on Mario 1's underground theme. If Egg Planet is about selling the grandiosity of space, Space Junk Road is about space's quiet, empty loneliness, providing one of the most serene video game songs I've ever heard. Then Battle Rock Galaxy kicks the orchestra into high gear again, another Star Wars-esque theme that pumps you up for blowing up one of Bowser's bases. Fiery Stronghold is a synth orchestra hybrid remix of Bowser's Road from Super Mario 64, making it sound more threatening than before. Beach Bowl Galaxy is a stupidly happy tune that will get stuck in your head, especially if you're combing the beach for purple coins for 10 minutes. Enter Bowser Jr. is Bowser Jr.'s best theme by far. It's a really catchy song that captures how silly he is, but also shows that he can be a threat when he wants to be. Waltz of the Booze combines the winds, strings, and spooky synths to make a song that's hauntingly beautiful and eerie. I really wish the Luigi's Mansion games had music more like this. King Finn and Bouldergeist's theme isn't orchestrated, but the use of low piano and rising and falling strings make for a tense experience for some of the tougher bosses. Bowie Bay's Galaxy starts off with some killer synth before the orchestra kicks in for one of the most triumphant pieces in the game. Even say about Gusty Garden Galaxy. It's one of the most loved Mario songs in the entire series. It's basically the unofficial theme of both Galaxy games. It showed up in the freaking movie. I really can't describe how incredible this one is, so I'll just let it speak for itself. But honestly, King Bowser might be even better. This is the best boss theme Bowser has ever had, with intense strings, pounding timpanis, an epic choir when he is vulnerable, and a criminally underrated trumpet that make this one of the most climactic boss themes in all of video games. Ice Mountain and Lava Path, the dual themes for Freeze Flame Galaxy, are more subdued than the others, but the eeriness of the Ice variant and the nice drumbeat of the Fire variants make them pretty memorable regardless. Same with Dusty Dune Galaxy. I wish it was a bit quicker and catchier, but it makes for the most deserty desert theme you could ask for. I don't know why the Toy Time Galaxy theme is called Super Mario 2007, but it's an adorable remix of the classic Super Mario Bros. Ground theme. Deep Dark Galaxy is really oppressive, what with the piano strikes, slow strings, and eerie synths. The Purple Comet theme is a very exciting theme for running around and collecting a bunch of purple coins, plus it has a bit of Gusty Garden Galaxy right at the end. Melty Molten Galaxy uses the sitars in conjunction with the horns and strings to great effect, making for a booming, intimidating volcanic theme as you're nearing the end of the game. Bowser's Galaxy Reactor isn't the best final level theme in Mario, it's surprisingly short, but that opening fanfare is just epic, and the rest of the song is suitably fitting for a finale. The final battle with Bowser is also shorter than I'd like, but man, that chorus, the booming drums and the powerful strings still make for quite the spectacular accompaniment to one of the best final battles in Mario history. And the credits theme, simply titled Super Mario Galaxy, is just perfect, both triumphant and relieving, providing an immensely satisfying ending to a phenomenal game and soundtrack. I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think Super Mario Galaxy has my favorite video game soundtrack, period. There are a few other games fighting for the title, with one Nintendo game that isn't here yet being a particularly fierce contender, but right now, Galaxy reigns supreme. Well, that was exhausting, but a lot of fun. Here's the full list if you just want to look at everything. Let me know if I was spot on or way off. What would your soundtrack ranking order be? Tell me in the comments down below. I am aware this video is going to be outdated almost immediately, in a week at most, so I will be making additional videos for each soundtrack that gets added to Nintendo Music for the foreseeable future, and see where they rank on my list. If nothing else, it'll get me to upload consistently for once. Have a good day, everybody!